Hard time getting this stuff.
I'd like to call the June 18th, 2014 meeting of the Wheaton Park District Board of Commissioners to order. Mike, please take the roll.
Commissioner Morrow?
Here.
Commissioner Mee?
Here.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Here.
Commissioner Lukehans?
Here.
President Kelly?
There. Mike, I understand we got a presentation.
We do. We have from our Marketing and Special Events Department, Christina Nemitz, to talk about some upcoming events.
Good evening, President Kelly and Board of Commissioners. Like Mike said, I am Christina Nemitz, Superintendent of Marketing and Special Events. And as you've seen in your weekly report, the Marketing Department has been working hard to create a cohesive brand around our new Create, Discover, Play campaign. One of the ways we've been working to engage the community around our brand is through our special events. And so tonight I'd like to tell you about the next 5 upcoming special events. On Saturday, June 28th, we will host our second Jazz Fest. It will feature smooth jazz artists. Park opens at 3 p.m. Music begins at 4:15. Food, beer, and wine will be available for sale. This year's Independence Day festivities include the 3rd of July fireworks and family fun at Graff Park. And parade will follow on Friday morning, kicking off at Main Street at 10 a.m. Our theme for the festivities this year is Generations of America, in honor of the longtime tradition of the Wheaton 4th of July parade and the celebration of the 175th anniversary of DuPage County. Throughout July, Mondays at Memorial Park will feature Music Mondays, free concerts including the Neverly Brothers, Serendipity, and 28 Days. Wheaton Brewfest is back again for the 4th year, taking place on August 2nd in Memorial Park. Tickets are already selling fast. This year's fest will again feature over 100 local and national brews, food vendors, live entertainment, and a VIP area. We will close the summer again with Shakespeare in the Park for the 2nd year. This year's play, Love Labor's Lost, will be presented for free through the partnership of the Wheaton Park District and the Wheaton College Arena Theater. Thank you for your continued support of the Wheaton Park District special events. We encourage all board members and residents to join us at our facilities and special events. And for more information, please visit WheatonParkDistrict.com or our Facebook page. Have a great night.
Thanks, Christina.
Shouldn't we congratulate the staff on Taste of Wheaton, because that was a big special event we just had? Yeah.
All right. Community input. Donna, has anybody signed up? Go ahead. Can you state your name and address for the board?
I'm Don Emicus, 815 James Court, Wheaton, Illinois. The reason I'm addressing the board tonight is I noticed on the agenda that we are looking to approve an application for grant funds for central athletic fields, et cetera, development there. I've had several problems. One is I don't believe the field layouts offer enough flexibility. The way they're currently drawn right now is you couldn't run 2 full-time soccer games at one time there. There's only 5 yards between the fields. Further complicate the issue, you have to turn around, and if you play a baseball game on the existing diamond, which is the Northwest Diamond, none of the other fields would be available for any games, just because of the overlap of the baseball diamond. In addition to that, we're showing that we're applying for funds for an ice rink and a chiller, or ice rink and a chiller. It's hard to tell exactly by the documentation that was provided in the package as to how much is actually going additional for the chiller versus what the machinery costs to air condition the existing facility, which needs to be done so Central could be used during the summertime. But it does say we're spending roughly $250,000, $250,000 for an ice rink. I assume that I wasn't privy to any business plan that was provided to this board to show how this ice rink is going to pay for itself, where the money's coming from, how much in fees is it generating annually, or is this another freebie that the board decides that we should be giving our taxpayers out there? If I apologize if there was a business plan that was ever put together. I haven't seen it, and I haven't been able to find it at all. I also have a problem with adding a development where we do not add one parking space. Now we're talking about adding a ice rink there. We already don't have any parking for the central facilities as it stands right now. Now, if we add everything together on the grant request, we're requesting another $1 million, $1.5 million, whatever it is. And we end up again with something where we have no parking, which I'm very familiar with not having enough parking at our athletic contest. The other things that I can just say, in the development, where are the green construction? Where are the leads credits? What are the environmental benefits that this thing is providing the Park District, the village, et cetera? I submitted a rough plan to Mike and Rob it's about 2 months ago now, showing a fairly accurate and detailed use of the site. This plan shows a great deal of flexibility for fields. It does show the fields are turf fields. It does show all the environmental credits. It shows the leads credits. It shows the green construction technology, et cetera, et cetera. If it follows the format of another project we've got going right now, it's probably 80% fundable by grant money. I can also guarantee that if the development was put together the way I designed the development and presented to the development, I'll guarantee the Park District in the neighborhood of $275,000 to $325,000 in annual income just off of field rent. You folks, I just paid my first half of my real estate taxes a couple weeks ago. I'd like to make sure that you responsibly spend my money. Thank you.
Thanks, Don. Okay, the first item of business is the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Any questions, comments? And Mike, take the roll.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lutke-Hans?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. Unfinished business. First item, the 2013 audit and comprehensive financial report by Snelden Fox. Is that a presentation?
No, I don't believe Ed has a presentation. He is here to respond to any inquiries or follow-ups, as is Rita. We do have one wrinkle to iron out, and Rita will explain that.
These are replacement pages for 2 sheets of paper that were in the comprehensive annual financial report that were in your package for this evening's meeting. The change was a misclassification that was present on the one that you received. If you look on page 18, in the recreation column, you can see that under assigned fund balance, under league-specific capital projects, you have a figure in the original version of 400 and some thousand. In the revised version that I just handed out to you, that amount is 399,515. The offset to that is in the line below it. This has no bottom line impact. It doesn't change the total assigned fund balance, which is a subcomponent of assigned fund balance. But those 2 line items have a misclassification between the 2 of them of 79,000. These sheets of paper give you the correct figure. If you'd like any additional information about that, or if you have any questions you'd like to ask me or regarding
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you. Comments? Jane?
I have a comment. Ed, you mentioned a suggestion for our personnel manual concerning the prohibition for insider release of confidential and insider information. I'm not familiar with that, and I just wondered if you could shed some light on that for me, please.
Sure. What that is when we review internal controls, we look at your policies, and one of the policies we look at is the personnel manual, and we kind of have a checklist we use to follow on some best practices recommended items to include within the personnel manual, and this just happened to be one we did not see within there. It's probably not applicable. I mean, I'm based on conversations I've had, I know it's not applicable, but it's just something that we do see in other policies as just kind of an additional item to include and to conform with the best practices that are out there.
And does it concern us not releasing information about employees, or insider information sounds to me more like
it's
trading?
Probably more, it kind of goes to the privacy laws that as it relates to your employees and personnel.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Mark, did you say? Or Ray, I'm sorry.
I just, having gone through this several times with Phil and the Finance Committee, I just want to make note of the introduction that was produced by Mike and Rita that I think it's worth reading. I also would like to suggest that the board take a look at page 14, decisions expected to have an effect on future operations. And I personally found pages 64 to 81 and 91 to 98 to be the easiest for me to follow and understand, because it gave you a picture of what we had budgeted and what we actually had spent and what the differences were. All in all the funds look like they're in very sound financial shape, and I think we're doing a good job. So those are things that I would suggest the board look at. Might make things a little easier. This is a pretty cumbersome document. So thank you.
Terry?
Understood it correctly. I mean, there was no deficiencies, material weaknesses, at least significant deficiencies or material weaknesses identified in the audit, and I think that says something for, our staff and Rita.
Yeah, this is a pretty clean management letter. And I do have to compliment staff on that. That takes a lot of work, and that's really the most important thing that comes out of these things, because we pretty much know the dollars. It's a question of whether our controls are there, and staff has done a great job on that. So thank you.
All right. Anybody else? And I'd just like to thank Ray and Phil for serving on the Finance Committee. I know it's a lot of extra meetings, and, it's appreciated. Okay. I don't have anything else. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Do we make a motion to approve, accept
We
it?
don't accept
Do
it.
we receive it?
I guess we receive it. I don't know.
I'd move to receive it.
Second.
Second. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you. Old business item number 2, amendment to the finance policy concerning the staff purchasing authority. I think this is left over from comment from last meeting.
Move to approve the policy change.
Second.
Second. Any questions or comments? So as I understand it, this just related to a definition of what constitutes an emergency.
That's correct.
And are some of these chairs, and some of them are chase
We're not talking about chairs.
Oh, sorry. Are we
That
not
was on the
chairs?
consent agenda.
Oh, that was, okay, sorry. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, wrong question.
Chairs are already approved.
Yeah,
Should have had that pulled if you.
I did not pull it out.
Okay.
Policy.
So Mike, that's policy. We can take a roll.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrill?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lutke-Hans?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. Unfinished business, item 3, approval of a change order with Field Turf for the purchase of a synthetic turf maintenance equipment.
So moved.
Second.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
You know, let me, you want me to just do this real quick?
Well, why don't you explain what we're
Yeah.
going to do, and then I'll talk about some of them if we have to.
Yeah. There's a new Attorney General opinion out of their Public Access Commissioner, or whatever they call it, PAC, office, that says that orally at every meeting you should give a little more detail about the actual action that you're taking. Instead of just doing a motion, you should orally say what it is, how much it's going to be, just more of a couple sentences about what is occurring, so those at the public who haven't seen the packet are actually available, know what it is we're doing. We're talking about. So my suggestion would be have the committee, somebody from each committee, do that as we go forward, but
But we'll have, and maybe we'll even add, we can try to edit that ahead of time and have that in the agenda item with just a little explanation like Mike has given us on other stuff. So for this particular item, the contract with Field Turf includes a maintenance machine that is a small or walk-behind type machine. And this new machine that we'd rather have is about 7 foot wide, and we pull it with a small tractor. And it's at added cost, it's about $30-something $100 more than what was included in the bid. So we're
38.
looking to buy a better piece of equipment that we didn't realize, and we get the benefit of buying it with the equipment. We could buy it later if we wanted, but we don't want the one that comes with the turf field. We want the better one for ease of maintenance. So that's what we're voting on now. Any comments? Terry?
Just a question for Phil. Phil, this came out of Public Action Council, is that right?
Yeah.
So for this particular item, would we not just be able to, let's say, make a motion to approve the change order with Field Turf in the net amount of $3,800 for the upgrade to a Sweep Right Pro? Is that sufficient, or do we need to
you know
go
what,
further?
it's really unclear.
Okay.
I would probably say that's sufficient. I mean, it kind of depends on the detail. If you're doing a contract with Bradford as we did, that would probably have to be
Got it.
significant. But we need to let people know, there's no clear, bright line. There's no case law
Gotcha.
on this. Actually, so it's kind of sitting out there, and it's new, and the municipal lawyers are all trying to figure it out. But I agree. In my mind, something along those lines would be sufficient.
I'll amend my motion, or whoever.
I don't think you need to amend the
It doesn't have
motion.
to be in the motion, Terry. It can be just a statement before the motion explaining what's actually in there so that somebody sitting at home or in the audience would know exactly what we're passing if they didn't have the board packet in front of them.
And
Which
so-
you just did.
Right, and that's
and we
sufficient.
might, in something this minor, we might be able to get away with just reading into what the item is.
In the motion, too,
A
we
little-
could.
Yeah, and the amount and those
Got
kinds
it,
of things.
sure.
I mean, it all, just so you know, it all came out of a separation agreement downstate that someone did with their superintendent, passed it, like we often have done in the past, and everybody's done, is, passing a separation agreement with the commissioner, with, our executive director, whatever he was called, superintendent. And now the thing says, you should really kind of tell what the main terms are of that agreement and a thing like that. So that's one extreme, and this is obviously one of the smaller the opposite extreme. So we're just trying to feel it out, and, all we can do is the best we can.
Cool.
Right. So change order. Mike, take the roll.
Commissioner Lutke-Hans?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. All right. Unfinished business item 4 is approval of a construction access agreement with Community Unit District 200 for the Graph Park Synthetic Turf Project. And that's basically an easement along the west side of the property, right along the fairgrounds, about 20 foot wide, so we can bring the trucks that are hauling all the stone in and the dirt out through the building. And the main part of the easement is, restoration if there's any damage that occurs.
Move to approve the
Second.
temporary construction access agreement with Community Unit School District 200.
Second.
Questions or comments? Terry?
John, I assume you looked at this at some point in time?
The the easement, the legal part of the easement, Phil looked at.
No, I'm talking about the construction.
Yeah, we're in uncharted territory. We have some money budgeted for
Yeah,
a full
I saw that.
restoration, and we met with the contractor to try to come up with ways to mitigate the damage. We're really going to have to watch it when we first start rolling the trucks, because we're not really sure how good the base is and how good the roadway is. And if we do it when it's dry and, this summer like we should, we can probably minimize the damage to the asphalt. And I know Rob's been in discussion with the school district, and they know it's not brand new asphalt. So should some stuff have to be replaced, there may be some sharing.
Cool. Thanks.
And Mike, take the roll, please.
Commissioner Lutke-Hans?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel? President Kelly?
Yes. Unfinished business, item 5 is approval of a construction supervision agreement with Wright Engineering for a GRAP synthetic turf project. When we received the bid from Wright to do the entire design for the project, they had that as a separate cost. I don't think it was listed as a not-to-exceed cost, buildings and grounds, and Mike have gone back and negotiated that amount as buildings and grounds, so it wasn't accepted with the original contract, but it's being accepted now that it has a not-to-exceed amount on it. So we're looking to get that change order approved so that White can supervise the installation of the synthetic turf field at Craft Park.
Move to approve construction supervision agreement with White Engineering for Graff Park synthetic turf project.
Second.
Anybody comments? Phil?
The only other thing just is one of the reasons we pulled it out is so we wouldn't have a contract paying for construction supervision if the cost came back too high and we could walk away from it. That was the other reasoning behind it back when we didn't approve it. So it was making sure we didn't have to pay for it if we didn't need it, and now obviously we're going forward, so it's a cost we should incur.
So did the motion include the amount of $12,000?
Not to exceed 12,000.
Not to exceed $12,000. Okay, we have a second.
Yes.
Okay, Mike, take the roll.
Commissioner Schobel? Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lutke-Hans?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. All right, new business, item number 1 is Resolution 2014-05, authorizing a grant application to the Department of Natural Resources Open Space Land Acquisition and Development Program. So I think first I'd like to have a motion that we're going to at least apply for this grant, and then I'd like to have an open discussion from the board on what's going to be included in the application and what's not.
Move to approve a resolution authorizing staff to apply for the OSLAD grant for development of central athletic improvements.
Second.
Okay, now we can have a discussion.
I probably should identify Resolution 2014-05.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second, and so everybody should have got a list of what staff was looking at putting in this grant application. Before we get too far, Mike, I'd asked you today with a question. The lighting is in our budget at $425, and it's in the grant at $525. Did we get better pricing, or did we just up the cost of the lighting? Or
Based on what was found in the ground from the standpoint of stable soils, planning department thought it best to increase the amount of money available in case we had to deal with the footings in a more robust fashion.
okay, so that's like an updated estimate of what you guys think it's going to cost to do the lighting. Okay, so we can go around comments. Does everybody like what's in the list? Terry?
I just want to say that we obviously should be applying for any grant monies that we can, whenever we can. And the OSLAD grant monies have been something that we have used successfully many times in the past, and I would not want to pass that up. Mike, question for you. In applying for this, how close does what's the expectation if we're awarded any or all of the grant monies that our development is as specified in the grant app?
We have to be pretty close.
What you can't do, there's flexibility as long as the general vision of the project is maintained, and the items that are your primary point earners, i.e. play value, essentially, or acquisition in that case, needs to be maintained. In the past, we've negotiated away more infrastructure items that, subsequent to engineering and estimating, we could not afford in projects. So if you maintain the spirit of the play value and what you're trying to add, for instance, in this case, adding an entire summer of programming with the chiller, adding hours to outdoor play with lights, those are major play value point earners, so you can't monkey around with those. Trash cans,
Sure.
no big deal.
You know, I was an advocate of the skate area for the Kelly Park development that never took place, and certainly I'm an advocate of it here. I think that adds a significant amount of value to that. But I'm going to always defer to staff, and, you know, we got Brad here. I presume that we've looked at the structure or the outline of the fields and how they relate to one another and the amount of activities that we have scheduled and so on and so forth. Is there anything that, you know, staff doesn't support, you know, in this plan? Go ahead, Phil.
All right, let's get that.
Before we ask that, let me kind of tell you what I think the Buildings and Grounds Committee doesn't support. So you have a feeling on that. And
Okay.
then I think, and I probably should have started. So, but a few things I think would suggest. You know, one of the things we have tried to do is keep the dollar amounts somewhat closer to the percentage of, at this point, at the numbers we're looking at, we would have to pay 76% of this grant. So we got an project of the budget. I mean, we'd have to pay, you know, $891,000, or what's the number? $1.248 thousand. So the Buildings and Ground looked at this, and we asked staff to relook at it again as well, and kind of come up with some things that we thought were probably unnecessary at this point and weren't probably going to get us a lot of points in the grant. If anything, it wouldn't help by any stretch and maybe hinder because the larger dollar amount. Kind of like what we did with that other grant where we tried to get it to a dollar amount under, I think, $1 million or $900,000, whatever it was. The items that I think John and I would suggest pulling, and staff, I think, is also in recommendation of this, is the item under the second heading, currently budgeted items to incorporate, replace the fence on the retaining wall. That's a $25,000 item. We would suggest pulling that. The next item we would suggest pulling at this time is the playground. That's on the west side of the property. It's not actually on this property. It's on the west side of Main Street. And then the restroom storage building renovation of $170,000, as well as the trash recycling containers. That gets us down to a number of, I think it's $1.291 million total, and we would of that pay $891,000 after you take out the $400 if we were awarded the entire grant. That's some of the other items like athletic field lighting. Obviously, we've talked about wanting to do that no matter what. Athletic field development, yes. Walking path, we really have no choice in some respects but to do. The grant award fee, grant audit requirement, we really can't get out of that anyway. The chiller, that's something I think we've all agreed we need to somehow find a way to do as it relates to giving us indoor availability in the summer. And then the ice rink surface, as Terry says, I think the majority of this board wants an ice rink at some point for the winter to use that property. And then obviously construction administration is something else we can't get rid of. It may be lesser when it's over since we pull some of these, but it may or may not. So that's, I think, the recommendation of the Buildings and Grounds Committee as well as senior staff at this point. So I just wanted everybody to know, and you know, if Rob or anyone disagrees, obviously, please step up and tell Commissioner Mee, or answer Commissioner Mee's question, because I'm just winging it with everybody else here.
If I might just make one comment, I think staff is on the same page here. If the question were to come up, why cut a playground? We have 32 playgrounds. We have no chiller-supported ice rinks. And from a point standpoint, providing something that we already have 32 of and some in the vicinity of this park as opposed to providing something we don't have at all is a better call from a standpoint of point strategy. So I just wanted to make that clear that that's the decision-making process there related to the playground versus the ice. More likely to get the grant as we have in the past with a similar item.
Well, it's obvious that we didn't go into this, with little consideration of, what we want to do there, and we've been talking about this for a long time. So, I'm certainly supportive of the building and grounds assessment, and if the staff is also in accord, it seems to me that there's the answer right there.
Is the purpose of the layout of the multipurpose fields such that you're trying to stay away from the infields of the baseball fields? Why it's laid out the way it is?
Brad, sure, if you wish to weigh in, step on up.
Or is it to accommodate the lighting system that we hope to install?
The main reason for the layout of the two multi-purpose fields is that's the way that two multi-purpose full-size fields would fit in the land that we have. We've tried all different layouts of trying to fit 3 ball fields and 2 multi-purpose fields to be able to maximize the space and maximize the green space that we can use the fields.
If I might add, the design also had a great deal to do with the topography that's necessary. If you recall, it's a very challenged site, all of it in floodplain, and the entire project of acquiring this open space, acquiring the old Wheaton Central gymnasiums, and everything that went into it, hinged upon our ability to store water in a fashion that was similar, or infinitesimally better, but similar to what had happened before. And this on top of the program considerations that Brad spoke of, it's also just a matter of we need the space to be created in such a way that we can meet our stormwater commitments, which are, pretty significant.
Brett, I have a question. We had somebody speak to us tonight about playing 2 games simultaneously on the 2 fields. Do you guys have that concern? Are you not planning on playing 2 games at the same time? I hadn't thought about that before, but it seems logical. How far apart are these fields?
The fields on the design were designed for 120 by 70 yard fields. When we have full-size soccer fields, we can make them. When we had the old Hubble, it was 110 by 60. Other fields are 110 by 60 or 120 by 65. The high school fields, the turf fields, our new turf field is going to be 110 or 120 by 65 because of that's a general high school size field. So instead of making them 70 yards wide, we can make them 65 yards wide and have that gap in between the fields that are necessary for safety reasons if that's a concern.
Would that make them a 15-yard gap? I'm sorry.
For that, we would take it down 5 yards.
5 on each. Oh, it'd be 10. Sorry.
Right, 10. So it would be a big enough gap to be able to play comfortably and safely.
Okay, so I'm relying on the experts. You're coming to us with what you want. So this layout that you guys have, Mary Beth, and you and your staff, this is the layout that you're asking us for.
Correct. Based on what we can do with the usable space that is at the old Hubble property, the Central Athletic Center, we think we can maximize space because of the fact that when we lost the old Hubble, we had to displace football into another area. So football will be there also in the fall. Soccer would be there. We sometimes, when we had the old Hubble, we made 2 smaller fields, an 80 by 55 and a 60 by 45. So now we have that, the ability to be flexible and to provide as much usable space as we can with this layout and have enough detention.
And Mike, I don't think the grant should Brad and staff over time tweak the layout a little bit as long as we're providing 3 baseball fields with lights. That layout of the soccer fields isn't going to, we're not agreeing that has to be the final layout.
No, as long as this play value is established, we would put a revision in, and I'd look at it and say, yeah, this is about the same thing, no problem. Rob and I have done it many times.
Right. If you see the layout too, the 3 ball fields and the expected outfields, the edge of the expected ball fields, we could also put a field, a smaller field in there for practices, or have it and just schedule it. Be creative in scheduling when we schedule ball fields and soccer at the same time.
Okay. And then the ice, is that still the same ice we were talking about at Kelly Park? It's still portable mat, even though it'll be fed off this chiller with some type of underground piping for future. We're not looking at putting in a permanent structure. It'll be a rollout mat, or is
That's
this
correct.
permanent? It's a rollout, portable.
It's a rollout. I think the only difference that we have here is that we were considering a hard surface underneath it that would be able to be used during the summer as kind of a gathering area for people that are watching the games, picnic tables, that type of thing. So hard surface. So that way we're not trying to reestablish turf that, as we run this longer, it's a hard surface. You don't have to worry about it as much.
And I think you were involved with the engineer. What was the estimated added cost for this chiller versus a chiller just to air condition the building? Do you remember that number?
I want to say that the base chiller was about $300,000. So with the added area
Features
feeding this, it's another $100,000 on top of that.
Or 50 if we get the grant.
Right. So my only concern is, I agree with what we'd like to see in the grant. My concern was that we were budgeting about $700,000 for the work at Hubble. So if we were able to get a $400,000 grant, that'd put us at about $1.1 million. And now we're a couple $100,000 over that. I just want to make sure everybody's comfortable that, by applying for the grant, we're going to be forced to, we're going to get some money, but we're also going to be forced to spend a couple $100,000 more than we originally budgeted for, building out these athletic fields. Now, maybe that estimate's right with the added lighting cost, and maybe it's not. Will our grant go down if the total contract cost goes down to, let's say, it's only $1.1 million when we bid everything out? Does the $400,000 go down because our percentage is locked in, or do we get $400,000 just because our grant's up around $1 million?
Well, it depends on what items run under or over, I would say.
If the final construction cost came in, we were able to save a little money, would we lose money off the grant end, or would we still get the $400,000 and our percentage would just go down?
I think we'd have to have discussions with DNR. My guess is based on, as long as we have that minimum match in there, that we should get the $400,000. But, as Mike said, it depends on, kind of what's scaled down. And, the reality is that, just as I said, all of the play value, if we're providing all of that, we're completing our obligation to them in terms of it.
I don't have anything else. Anybody else? So I guess what we need is, Phil, why don't you make the motion of which items are in the grant and the total dollar value of the application?
I'll move to amend the motion to seek the following items be included in the grant. Athletic field development, $95,000. Athletic field lighting, $525,000. Walking path, $75,000. Grant award fee, $5,000. Grant audit requirement, $5,000. Chiller for ice rink, $400,000. Ice rink surface, $206,400. Construction administration, $75,000. For a total of $1,291,400.
Second.
Okay. Questions, comments? What?
Vote on the motion.
Yeah. Okay, all right, so first we need to vote on the motion to amend. All right, Mike, take the roll.
Commissioner Schobel? Yes. Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lutke-Hans?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. Now, we're
Vote on
going to
it.
vote on the amended motion. So, Mike, take the roll on that, please.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lutke-Hans?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. Okay. New business item number 2, ordinance number 2014-06, adopting prevailing wage rates to be paid to laborers, mechanics, or other workers performing construction on public works for the Wheaton Park District.
Move to adopt an ordinance adopting prevailing wage rates to be paid to laborers, mechanics, and other workers performing construction of public works for the Wheaton Park District under ordinance number 2014-06. This is a annual thing we are required to do so that we are modifying the rates that people must charge, or that people must pay their employees under construction projects to be in accordance with the rates provided by the Department of Labor.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion or questions? It's an ordinance. Mike, take the roll, please.
Commissioner Lutke-Hans?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. New business item number 3, approval of some golf course maintenance equipment purchases. These are basically 3 green mowers. What are the other 2 pieces, Justin? We need a motion.
So move. Oh, you want a whole motion? Move to approve the following equipment per the 2 separate purchasing agreements listed. John Deere XUV 825i for $21,179.65.
No, you can't do it. You can't do it that way? No, not anymore.
The Procore 648, $21,638.14. Greenmaster 3320 Triflex Hybrid, $32,625.05. Greenmaster 3320 Triflex Hybrid for $32,625.05. And a Greenmaster 3320 Triflex Hybrid for $32,625.
Well, now he has.
All right, who seconded?
Mark Schobel.
Mark. Okay.
Way to take on the long one, Ray.
Anybody have any?
Follow what
Anybody have any questions
Sorry.
or comments?
I just wanted to make sure that everyone at home knew that these were being purchased through a co-op purchase program, which means that we're getting the volume discount from a much larger bid process.
Okay. All right, Mike, take the roll.
Commissioner Schobel? Yes. Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Aye.
Commissioner Lutke-Hans?
Aye.
President Kelly?
Yes. Okay, new business item 4, approval of park maintenance equipment purchases. I believe this includes 3 trucks.
Move to approve the purchase of the following equipment through state purchase. Number 1101, 2015 Ford F-250 regular cab 4x4 pickup, the amount of $27,100. Number 1102, 2015 Ford F-350 super cab 4x4 pickup, in the amount of $32,985. And number 1103, a 2015 Ford F-450 crew cab 4x4 chassis with 6.8-liter V10, in the amount of $46,495.
Second.
Under discussion, we did correct a typo on number 3 for the motion. The $46,495 did not appear in the original report, and we caught that error today and was given to Commissioner Mee for the appropriate motion.
Excuse
Any
me, just a
questions or
minute.
comments?
Do we need to build into this motion or a separate motion for the auctioning of
You know
the
what?
existing?
Yeah, we can't.
That's what I thought.
Mike and I spoke today. That has to be an ordinance declaring it surplus. We don't have that in front of
Gotcha.
us, so we'll just do that at the next
Just
meeting.
just like we did. Cool.
And, the question I had for Mike when I saw these was, how do we know that this national price is the best price we can get? Maybe if we're buying something through the national price, can we get a cheaper price? So while we didn't think we'd have any luck getting pricing on the golf course equipment, we thought we could get pricing on the trucks. And Mike, why don't you tell us what you found out?
Owen, our fleet manager, and Larry are here this evening, and I asked them to do a little shopping around. They had done so prior to shopping through this co-op, but it was, I believe, a month or some change ago, so we got them updated today. The quotes we received were in the vicinity of $600 to $800, if I'm remembering correctly, higher than the estate purchase program that we're using to pick up these Fords.
And those were on Fords because the Chevy dealers knew they wouldn't give you a price because they just quoted you the same price knowing we would.
Well, Ford was what the state contract, the government contract was, so we compared it apples to apples.
So were you able to get prices on Fords?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you told me we had price on Chevys.
No, we went to Haggerty, and I think that's why for the quote, and I think maybe that's for the miscommunication on Chevy versus
So
Ford.
you got local pricing on Fords, and it was more money than the price we're getting. So
Correct.
I just wanted to make sure these were a decent price. Yeah.
Larry, in the future, obviously, since we're asking this question and we're okay with this joint purchasing, and I know it's less work, but it's also saving money, which is more important. In the future, though, I think when you and Owen are doing these memos, if you just make sure you include, hey, we did price these, and we realize this is a lower price, because it's the same question we're going to be asking every time. So,
Yes, sir.
I mean, I want to
might as
pay
well
more
just beat
if I
it
can
to
buy
beat
the
us
truck
to
at
it.
the corner. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Mike, take the roll, please.
Commissioner Lutke-Hans?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Aye.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow? Yes. Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes.
Thanks, Owen and Larry, very much.
New business item 5, bid results and recommendations for Northside Park native plant maintenance. And if I'm not mistaken, Rob, this is maintenance that we're required to do and document. Part of this, right?
Maintenance that's required to meet the minimum standards that we promised the county we would do for the buffer and the associated areas at Northside.
Right. So, and it involves some survey work or something afterwards to get us a report that we're at whatever
We've
percent growth.
We've already contracted for the monitoring, so we've got people that are going out and identifying that, okay, we have so many of the plants that we originally put in, the weed cover is not excessive, and then we're also delineating to demonstrate that we've provided the amount of acreage that we said we would.
Okay. So it's required maintenance, and the big decision is, are we going to do it in-house or contract it out? What? No. We need the
Move
motion.
to approve a maintenance agreement for native landscape maintenance with Integrated Lake Management, Inc., in the amount of $65,600 payable over 2014, 15, and 16 for that maintenance.
Second.
Questions, comments? Mike, take the roll, please.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lutke-Hans?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. I'm just going to open it up to the board reports from staff. If anybody has comments on the reports from staff or any general comments, you can make them at this time. Ray.
The athletic report, very well done, people. One of the things in here, you have a list of recommendations for the future. And I guess my question is, are any of these recommendations in the capital construction fund or the asset replacement fund of any kind? Are any of these recommendations already being considered and budgeted? So none of this is a wish list for the future if there's the money and the wherewithal to do it. Okay. Is this something that's going to get incorporated then into the master plan that we're working on?
Yeah, staff has been holding internal meetings concerning master planning for all of our locations, and I don't know for a fact, but I'm certain, knowing Brad, that all of these items have been communicated to Mr. Hinchy and Mr. Spurl during those meetings. So we'll see what comes of it when we bring you the strategic and master plan in September, and then of course it'd be an annual budget approval process for capital development.
We had a fish-a-rama at Northside Park this past Saturday, and thank you to the maintenance staff and the Conservation Department staff for their great work. It was a fun day, and 160 or so little fishermen. It was a great event. So thank you. And, one thing I really noticed about Northside Park, there were no geese.
Yep.
There were no geese in the park, and that's amazing. So I think that goes to the development that we had done over the years there and finally accomplished. Also had opportunity on Saturday to go look at both the pools, and they look great. Very nicely done. Finally, congratulations to the DuPage Community Foundation for their $15,000 Sensory Garden Award from them for the Sensory Garden Playground, $15,000 grant, and then the museum grant. I don't know if somebody else wants to bring up the museum grant. The roof, that's well done too. So
Thanks, Ray.
doing good things.
Bill?
I just had a couple questions of staff on the athletic report. I see that the rest of the reports on the pretty much, I guess I'm talking about the Section 11 program evaluations. All of them except the Rams football had this nice pie chart that kind of told us what was a positive experience, what wasn't. And I guess I'm trying to understand why we didn't do that there, or if we don't have the data, or if we just didn't ask the question, because I'm sorry, Brad, I should be looking at you, not Mary Beth. Sorry.
No problem. For that part of for that program, we did coaches' evaluations as the evaluation tool, and we took the evaluation notes from that evaluation. We did not ask the overall question. We will do that next year.
Okay. And the other question I had is the Wheaton Wing Soccer Club was probably the lowest, good word for that, evaluation percentage we were receiving from our clientele, and I've actually heard some of that on a direct level myself. I don't know if this is the time to ask, or at some point in the future maybe provide us with how we're going to try and resolve the outstanding problems we have. And I know some of the problems are the fact that we're a travel team and we pretty much accept everyone, so there's some of that's built into our system. But at some point, I think, we're going to be having more problems if we don't kind of figure out what's going on here as it goes forward, because the word of mouth gets questionable for us.
Okay.
So I'll let you kind of figure out how you want to address that, but I think at some point here in the next couple meetings, I'd like to either have a report or something as to what we're looking about doing and what we think our problems are and how we're going to address those.
Will do.
Thank you, Brad. Great report, though. I mean, it gives us a lot of information, so I'm able to actually ask the questions. So thank you.
Thank you.
Terry?
Regarding the athletic report, what was most helpful to me was were the bottom line financial reports, and then of course those sections about new programs that were offered in 2013 that were successful, and the improvements in existing programs and services enrollment, improvement of facilities, and then the new partnerships. Brad, going back to the bottom line financial report, just picking out one, and that would be bottom line programs, camps, and non-board leagues. There's been an increasing revenue stream, of significant amounts over the past several years. What do we attribute that to?
For the leagues and programs and camps, we increased by running the Wheaton Wings soccer tournament. That generated $70,000. Mm-hmm. We also increased the Wheaton Wings number of teams from 15 to 21 from 2012 to 2013. When you have professional trainers and stuff, that's it's a costly program, and the revenue has gone up there. We also increased in some travel basketball tournaments and other different programs that we've started, like soccer shots and other programs that are listed on the highlights.
But our net revenues continue to increase. That's pretty impressive. Cool. Thanks.
Anybody else?
I had a question for Larry. from his report? Is that okay? Larry, I wondered, are you the one who made the Green Team report? Is that from you?
No, well, it comes from my department, it's Tara.
Okay, Tara. Have we done green audits of our facilities and so forth to figure out how we could be reducing utility costs and, our use of energy?
We have it, the community center is one of the places that was done, yes.
Okay. Have we done that across the board at all the other facilities?
I
Or
don't believe all of them have done that.
okay. And do we use lead-free hoses?
Lead-free hoses.
Uh-huh. Are the hoses that we use to water things, are those
The garden
lead?
hoses and
The
stuff?
garden
I
hoses.
don't know that for a fact.
Yes.
Thank you.
They are lead-free? Okay. Thank you.
You saved yourself a report.
I appreciate that peanut gallery report there. Thank you. Okay. That's good. I just feel like with the amount of kids that we have on our property, we should be using the cleanest things that we can, so.
I assume so, but I wasn't sure.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
And Jane, in response to that, I will tell you, at the Central Athletic Center facility, that HVAC system we put in was very efficient. We changed out all the lighting in the building to fluorescent lighting. We got a grant to do that, and we're saving. I think our energy costs are way down on.
I know our energy costs.
I don't know if we ever got that. Did we ever get those final numbers that we were talked about in the? If we could get it from this heating season, start to finish on, compared to years past. But so we did do that facility. We took a good look at everything, but I don't know about the other facilities. Yes. Anybody else? Terry.
John, if we're past the athletic report, I just want to make a couple
You can
comments.
talk on any of the reports.
Cool, and I will. Ray had mentioned it briefly, but I want to recognize, the museum fund grant for $600,000 for the roof. That's pretty significant, Mike. Good work.
A lot of people, thank you.
No doubt. We had some excellent. Looks like we had some excellent days in May for the restaurant, and that was pretty significant revenue stream for us then. I don't want to lose sight of, Jane made a brief comment about the Taste of Wheaton. You all did a great job. There was no downsides to that function at all. Mother Nature was kind to us, but I was out there, Thursday and then a good portion of Saturday and involved with the staff and with some of the activities. But you put on a great show out there, and there was nothing but positive comments, that came my way. But keep it up, because I think that event keeps getting better every year. But I know that it's a lot of work. Andy, how many hours did you put in over the 4 days, for example? I know Margie, you were there, and Mike was there, so quite a bit.
Dan
Dan was
Just
there?
enough to have a good event.
Yeah. Good work, though. Thank you.
Mark.
I'll echo on what Terry had said. I heard from several neighbors in my neighborhood saying how they had a great time, and I know what the staff does as far as putting it all together. And I'm just telling you, it's kudos to you guys. I mean, I don't think it runs that way unless you guys put the extra effort, and it's obvious you did.
President Kelly, if I may, I'd also like to recognize Larry's team and Deb's team, in particular Nick Novak and Matt Alexander. These are the people behind the scenes that lift the heavy stuff and clean up the garbage. And it's truly an agency team effort, and I appreciate their work very much.
I don't want to lose sight of, Margie, all the work that you did for the run for the animals, too. We had some good numbers, and, the breakfast went off well. I'm not sure about Ray's pancakes, but,
I heard the best pancakes we've ever had before.
well,
That's what I heard, too.
They were a little shaky. Anyway, that all went well, and, we had some really good numbers, so good job.
Anybody else? I'd like a motion to go into closed session.
Move to go into closed session for the purpose of the purchase or lease of real property under 5 ILCS 120/2, paren C, paren 5.
Second.
Commissioner Schobel? Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee? Yes. Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lukey-Hans?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. It's anticipated that.